Welcome to episode number 6 of this new watercolor series on my channel called 30 Things to Know When Starting Watercolor. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the most talked about topic in watercolor, and that is paint. So let's go ahead and begin, shall we? If you stumbled upon this video, the first question you are most likely asking yourself is, what paint is best for me? Well, there are 3 deciding factors when choosing what paint is best for you: cost, technique, and vibrancy. Everything is about that bling bling, especially when you're talking about student grade versus artist grade paint. I used to always be curious why the same color of paint may cost $4 in one tube and $12 to $20 in another tube of the same size. Well, the reason for this is based on quality. So what is the difference between student grade and artist grade paint? Well, student grade paint is made with less pigment and actually more filler or glue that holds the paint together. And this is why student grade paint can have these strange particles or leave these muddy colors while you're painting. Artist grade paint, on the other hand, usually has more pigment and less filler, or that glue stuff, giving you more vibrant and transparent colors directly from the source. So, what paint is best for me? If you're starting out or just trying to play around with new colors, student grade paint is awesome for experimenting and it doesn't hurt your wallet. However, keep in mind, if you desire more vibrant colors, you're going to be using a lot, and I mean a lot, of your student grade paint very quickly. In this case, you may want to make an investment in some artist grade paints, especially for the colors you seem to use quite often. Every artist has those go-to colors that they couldn't live without. A few of mine would be Opera Rose, Winsor Yellow, Cobalt Turquoise, and Olive Green. These paints are perfect for my earthy and jewel tone paintings and well worth the investment for my color palettes. But for you, your colors may be completely different, which is fine. This is why student grade paint is crucial in evaluating what you really need and what you simply can't live without. The next question you're going to want to be asking yourself is, do you like to paint with fresh watercolor paint or dried watercolor paint, or even both? This may sound a little strange of a classification, but hear me out. Some watercolor artists love pan sets because all of your colors are all laid out before you and easily accessible at any time. Since these are dried paints, you will have to refresh them before use, which isn't that big of a deal. The pro to these pan sets is that they usually come in a wide variety of colors that are pre-mixed and ready to use. However, in my experience, if you want more vibrant, bright colors from a pan set, you're going to have to invest in an artist grade set to really get those super bright colors. Tube paints, on the other hand, can give you a bit more variety when it comes to painting, and here's the reason. First off, you can decide actually what colors you want to or you desire in your palette, whereas you can't do that with pans. It's already usually preset. Now, the second reason is you can decide with tubes whether to paint with them after they've dried in your paint palette, or another thing that you can do is paint fresh from the tube. And because of this option, you can actually get really bright, vibrant colors directly from the tube because your paints are already at their highest consistency. This is the reason why I don't actually fill my wells all the way full in my paint palette. A lot of times I will reserve some of that paint in that tube just in case I want to paint from it fresh straight out of the tube. The next way you want to decide what paint is best for you, and the last way, is with Vibrancy. Now you might be thinking, Carrie, we already talked about Vibrancy. What else is there? Well, actually a lot. This might sound dumb, but once again, bear with me. In order to paint with watercolor, the crucial ingredient you must have no matter what is water. The dilemma with this is that the more water you add to your paint, the less vibrant and rich that color will become. However, the less water you have, the more cakey that paint will actually look and rough as you're painting it on your watercolor paper. So how do you find this happy median of rich pigmented paint yet a light, airy consistency? This is where watercolor concentrates shine. Watercolor concentrates, also known as liquid watercolors, are, as the name suggests, in a liquid form. Thus, by adding these little guys to our dried paints or even to our tube paints, we are not just reactivating them, but also mixing our paints to their highest vibrant consistency. This is how I create my super saturated colors in my illustrations without that cakey and heavy texture that is usually associated with those heavily concentrated watercolor paints. So getting back to our original question, what paint is best for me? Well, that is really entirely up to you and your art style and your preference. For me, I love using Winsor & Newton watercolor tube paints mixed with the P.H. Martin's Radiant watercolor concentrates. This paint combo works best for my art style, and I'm sure, as you know, there are tons of other brands and even types of watercolor paints out there. But these are the ones that I'm most familiar with, and since I use them daily, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what I use. However, that being said, please comment below what paint sets you actually love to work with and why. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'm always kind of interested in playing around with new watercolor paints, so let me know in the comments below what you use and why. If you want to learn more about watercolor concentrates, the Winsor & Newton tube paints, or even pan sets, and I have an Angora pan set, I have other videos that I've made on this channel. I will link them down below and also in a card if you would like to check those out and get a little bit more detail about the paints that I actually own. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this and perhaps you learned something new. If you want to learn more about watercolor in general, make sure to sign up below for my weekly newsletter. I have a couple of really cool things coming out soon, so if you want to stay in the loop, make sure to sign up for that. It's free, and you will know more about what's going on in the background here at Watercolor Misfit, this art studio. And I guess that's it, y'all. I will see you soon and see you later.